Hey Primary 3 Math Prodigy, this is Coach Saiful with your daily dose of math mastery, and today we're going to go into assessment paper number 15. Alright, so let's take a look at this assessment paper. Again, we're going to focus on fractions, okay? This week we're going to focus on fractions, and similarly, like last week, I'm going to test you on equivalent as well as simplest form. Yes, equivalent fractions as well as simplest form. Now, just to do a recap here, equivalent fractions basically mean any fraction that is actually the same as another. So for example, if I were to say 3 over 9, okay, is also equivalent to what? For example, 6 over 18. Now how do I know this? I know this because I multiply it by 2. Okay, so they are actually similar, right? They're equivalent fractions. Now, what if I use the same number and I ask you to put it into a simplest form? 3 over 9 is equals to 1 over 3. Now, how do I know this? I know this because I divide both the top and the bottom by the same number, 3, to get the simplest form. So again, this is actually equivalent. equivalent, which means equal, okay? And this is actually simplest form. Simplest form means you reduce it, make it smaller, and how do you do that? You divide, okay? So here, again, like I said, here you times, and here you divide. Simple. Alright, with that, let's go through questions number 1 all the way to question number 6. Alright, so let's take a look at these questions. It says here that express 12 over 16 in its simplest form. Okay, so 12 over 16 in its simplest form. Now you're probably asking yourself, what do I divide this by? Now you ask yourself the question, what number can I divide both the top and the bottom to in such a way that I get a number without any left over? So let's try 2. 12 divided by 2, can I get a number? Yes, I can. How about 16 divided by 2? Yes, I can. So if I divide it by 2, I will get 12 divided by 2 gives me 6. 16 divided by 2 gives me 8. Alright, and then we ask ourselves, is this the lowest we can go? So we try asking ourselves, can we divide this by 2 further? The answer is actually yes. If we divide by 2 further, we will still get a whole number. 6 divided by 2 gives you 3. 8 divided by 2 gives you 4. So the answer here, can divide it further anymore? No, we cannot. So the answer here is 3/4. Now, but here's one thing that you can do. After you are very common, after you're very, how do I say, after you're very familiar with this, you can actually go straight from 12 over 16 to 3/4 without going through the 6 over 8. Okay, for example, just say, oh, 12 and 16, that's multiples of 4. 4, 8, 12, 16. So I divide by 4, and that will give me 3 over 4. And see, it's still the same answer. So the answer for the first one is 3 over 4, which is C. Alright, move on. Number 2, which of the following fractions are equivalent to 1 over 6? So 1 over 6, let's take a look at this. 1 over 6 basically means if you want to make it equivalent, you must multiply it. Multiply by what? Okay, it's up to you. 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. Okay, so in this case, we actually have 2 options for each one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try out each one. Okay, so I'm going to try out 1 over 6. Okay, let's take a look at each one. First one says 1/3. Okay, can we divide by 2 to get 1/3? No, we cannot. So therefore, we know that the first option is definitely out already. Okay, let's move on to the second one. It says 6 over 8. So 6 over 8, if we to get 6 on top, we must multiply by 6. But we must also multiply by 6 below, and that will give us 6 over 36. And what do we get on the question paper is 6 over 8. So definitely this option is definitely wrong. Let's move on to the next one. It says 2 over 12. Okay, 1 over 6 to 2 over 12. To get 2 on top, you must multiply by 2 above and multiply by 2 below. So we do get 2 over 12. So that first option is correct. Okay, let's see whether the second one is actually correct as well. It says 3 over 6. Okay, to get 3 over 6, we must multiply the on top by 3 and we must multiply 3 below as well. So we will get 3 over 18. So 3 over 6 is definitely wrong. And therefore that leaves us with the last option, which is 2 over 12 and 3 over 10 as correct. Just to test ourselves, 3 over 18, is it correct? Yes, it is. So the answer is actually option D. Good job if you got it right. Let's move on to the next one. How many 8s are there in half? Now, how many 8s? 8s basically mean, right? 8s basically mean 1 over 8. How many 1 over 8s? In other words, if I were to divide a pizza or a prata by 8s, see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, correct? Yep. So there are 8 parts to this. How many 8s, how many small pizzas of divided by 8 are there in half? Now, what do we know about half? Half can also be written as, how do we get 8s over here? Can you answer me? Very simple. Since there is 8 here and there is 2 here, what do? We multiply the bottom by 4 to get 8. And when we do that, we must also be fair to the one on top. We must multiply by 4 above as well. And that will give us 4 over 8. Okay, something to note here on the prata here, okay, is actually half. Half is actually equals to 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 eighths. So the correct answer is 4 eighths. Ta-da! So the answer is D. Now the next one, a pair of shoes costs twice as much as a shirt. Now whenever I say something like that, when a pair of shoes costs twice as much as a shirt, whenever something costs twice or thrice or whatever it is, we must straight away put the number there. Okay, twice means how many? It means 2. A pair of shoes costs twice as much, and the shirt will always be 1. Anything compared to it will always be 1. So shoes 2, shirt 1. Next part of the question says that if the shirt costs 35, what is the cost of the shoes? If the shirt costs 35, what is the cost of the shoes? Very simple, right? If the shirt costs $35, what is the cost of the shoes? The cost of the shoes is actually 35 here. If it's 35, this is also 35. So 35 plus 35 or 35 times 2 will give you $70. So the answer for the third question, no, for the fourth question is actually D, which is $70. Let's move on. Which of the following fractions is the smallest? Okay, when they say something like this, all we have to do is we actually have to find out what they are comparatively. In other words, 4 over 6 half and 2. 4 over 6 half and 1/3. Now, can we compare now? We cannot compare which one is bigger, which one is smaller, because they all have the different denominator. See, they all have this different denominator. One has 6, one is 2, one is 3. Now, what do we do when we have something like this? We simply just look for the biggest one. In this case, it is actually 6. Then we try to make the others look like that. So how do we do that? So how do we get 6 from 2? We multiply by 3. How do we get 6 from 3? We multiply by 2. Then don't forget, we must also make sure that when we multiply below, we must also multiply on top. So be fair. So our final fractions we have here is actually 4 over 6, 3 over 6, and 2 over 6. So my question such as now was, which of the following fractions is the smallest? The answer would be the one that has 2 over 6. So do we write 2 over 6 the answer? No, because that's not what the option was. That was not our option. Our option was actually 1/3. 1/3 just happens to be the same as 2 over 6, and so the answer is 1/3. Alright, move on to the next one. It says arrange the following fractions in ascending order. Now, what does ascending mean? Now, last week I taught you that whenever we have the word descending, okay, we have to look at it in such a way that we look at the first letter, and the first letter is D. The first letter is D, it means down. In other words, it's going down. When it's going down, it means that it starts from the biggest to the smallest. Now, on the other hand, ascending means the opposite. It basically means going up. Okay, so it starts from the smallest all the way to the biggest. So now, ascending means we need to start from the smallest to the biggest. So let's take a look at the question. It says, arrange the following in ascending order: 1/3, 4 over 12, and 3/4. Okay, again, let me ask you a question. Can we compare? No, we cannot. We can only compare if the denominator is the same. Now, this is 12, this is 4, this is 3. What do we make it look like? We make it look like 12 because it's the biggest. So we ask ourselves, what number was we multiply 3 to get to 12? We multiply by 4. what number must we multiply 4 to get 12? We multiply by 3. So when we multiply below, we must be fair to the neighbor. We must multiply on top by the exact same number. So we have 4 over 12. Oops, this question is wrong. Okay, remember, this is 4 over 12, this is 4 over 12, so we cannot do that. So what we can do is, we can actually just change this, do me a favor, change this to 2 over 12. So you will get 8 over 12. Okay, so now arrange this in ascending order from small to big. The first option would be 4 over 12. The second option would be 8 over 12. And the third option would be 9 over 12. But do we write it as the answer? No, we write it as, the first option is 4 over 12 because it's this one, the original fractions. Second option is 2 over 3. And the last option is 3 over 4. So we write down the original fractions they gave it to us. So this is the final answer. And that's basically it for this video. Yep, we are done. And that brings me to the quote of the week. And the quote of the week is, if you really want to get it, you just have to repeat it. Simple formula. Repetition is the mother of skill. Repetition gives birth to skill. If you want to be skilled at something, if you want to be pro at something, you just have to repeat it. It's as simple as that. So similarly, if I repeat to you this fractions thing over and over again, first of all, you'll think you'll get it, and secondly, you get bored. And when you get bored, you have it as a skill. All right. So if you really want to get it, you just have to repeat it, especially in math. Well, it's true in school and true in life. That's what I always say, right? So really, I'll end this video by saying it again and again, because this is about repetition. It's all about repeating. If you really want to get it, you just have to repeat it. With that, this is Coach Saiful signing off, saying you are a math prodigy. Good job.